Dear Mr. President, and I know you're not going to actually watch this video, but it might make me feel better to express a few things to you. I'm really, really glad that you're going to spend the rest of your term helping out the illegal aliens in this country, making sure they don't have to leave. Have you, Mr. President, visited any of the cities in this nation that you lead? Have you perhaps noticed the increase in homeless people on the streets? I know I have. Do you know that there are cities in this country that actually are coming up with laws discouraging people from feeding the homeless? Street people, people living on the streets, people who've lost everything, people who have to dig in garbage cans and dumpsters to find a bite of food. I don't know about you, but last time I checked, human beings have value. Don't feed the homeless. Why don't you put up a sign, don't feed the elephants, don't feed the squirrels, don't feed the pigeons? Are we a little bit better than that? Are we worth a little bit more than that? It's nice that you have such concern for people overseas and for the illegal immigrants in this country. By the way, what does the word illegal mean exactly? But what about the people who have dedicated their efforts to this society since birth? What about people who have hope in the American dream and have worked their whole lives to try to have that dream and have had a bad run of luck, and now they're on the streets? And what is being done for them, Mr. President? Did you know that a lot of people who have come out of college with really impressive degrees are doing things like working at Burger King, doing pizza delivery jobs, being salespeople at Nordstrom's? Good people with impressive degrees, really intelligent people making minimum wage. Did you know that that was going on, Mr. President? Did you know that for the middle class in this country, there's no jobs because they've been shipped overseas? Did you know that the United States government even ships its jobs overseas rather than gives those jobs to United States citizens? Companies like Humana and TRICARE, which is the government? I call their customer service, Mr. President. What will I find? I will find myself talking to somebody in the Philippines or in India. Isn't there something wrong with this picture, Mr. President? What about free retraining classes? And I'm not talking about training people who are used to desk jobs so that they can be ditch diggers and construction workers, because all the good desk jobs are now overseas. I'm talking about retraining people so that they can do good desk jobs that are still here available in this country. Retraining and make it available for people who still need to survive and can't do it on minimum wage. Retraining that isn't going to cost people money. Because if you're going to allow offshoring in this country and take away jobs for the middle class, retraining is necessary for those people in the middle class to be able to continue to have decent jobs. Just a thought. I think I have troubles not being able to find a job. I didn't really get that much college. I had somebody in my Uber car last night, Mr. President, who told me about a friend of hers who's in her 50s, who was a doctor for some time. And I don't remember all the details, but this person had several degrees. What is she doing now? She's doing retail at Nordstrom's. A doctor. Somebody who she's an extremely intelligent woman. She's doing retail at Nordstrom's. Because there's so many jobs overseas or wherever. Who knows? There's just no jobs anymore. And the few jobs there are, younger people are getting them. People who have up-to-date skills, people who know the new math system. Do you know people are screened with tests in most of these jobs, Mr. President? And the questions that are given in these tests, if you're over 30, you're not going to know this kind of math, even though the math is simple. It's fractions, it's percentages. It's stuff that any adult should know, and I do know. But I know it, and it looks different when you write it out the way I learned it than the way it is today. And so if I see a question, a problem, and it's in the new style of math, I'm not going to know what that is. How am I supposed to pass the test? How am I supposed to have any chance of even getting an interview because these tests exist that, I'm sorry, are unfair for the older generation who doesn't know the newer forms of math? Is that fair? You know what contributes a great deal to the poor health of this country, Mr. President? That would be obesity. Obesity. And obesity a lot of the times happens because people are eating the wrong foods. Have you considered how much food costs, Mr. President? The good food. I'm not talking about the crap. I'm talking about fruits and vegetables and meats and grains. Real food. Have you considered how much it costs and how out of beyond reach that is to so many poor people in this country? Do you know why there's so much obesity among poor people in this country and bad health and people with bad health who can't afford insurance? Because of the cost of the foods that are the most healthy, the best for us. They're unobtainable to the poor. All poor people can afford is the crap food. The stuff that has no nutritional value. The stuff that makes them fat and unhealthy. Again, doesn't this merit a little bit more attention? Shouldn't food be affordable for everybody? Just the ability to feed yourself? These are necessities of life. And yet I drive in my Uber car, I drive by these houses, these huge mansions, every single day. These rich people that have everything. And there's people who can't even afford the basics like fruits and vegetables and grains and meat. Seems to me that there's a problem there, Mr. President. And seriously, another problem that has made itself quite prominent in the news lately. What on earth is going on with our law enforcement? Whatever happened to justice? People who misuse their power and hurt the innocent, the unarmed innocent. Should that be tolerated? It just seems to me that that a lot of police have become just bullies. And I don't see a lot of justice being handed out fairly in this country. I just think that there's another thing that could use a little attention on your part. The legal system, the justice system, and what is fair and what isn't fair. People get put in jail for years and years and years for the silliest, simplest, most trivial crimes, and yet you have people who commit murder, even child murder, and they get out on good behavior. Again, there seems to be something wrong with this picture. Do you think that somebody who's on unemployment can afford $80 a month for insurance, Mr. President, when they have a mortgage they have to pay, and a car payment they have to pay, and electric bill they have to pay, among other things? Phone. You have to have a phone if you expect to get calls for interviews. Do you think somebody can afford even $80 a month for insurance? You call your affordable health care whatever affordable. How do you know what is and what isn't affordable to other people? How do you know what other people can spare? I lost my job in October 2013. I have not had insurance since. I can't afford it. When I was on unemployment, it would have meant $80 a month that I would have to pay. I couldn't afford that because I didn't want to tap into other taxpayers, what other taxpayers are having to pay, because I didn't want to use the unemployment benefits, and even if I did, who can survive on that every month? And then if you try to make a little bit more by having a second job, a little on the side job, every penny you make on that on the side job is deducted from your unemployment, so you are stuck with whatever little tiny bit unemployment wants to pay you. And I'm sorry, but nobody with a house payment and a car payment and PUD bill and et cetera, can afford to live on unemployment, and I didn't want to lose my home. So now I don't have unemployment, I drive for Uber instead. But because I don't have unemployment, I am expected to pay over $300 a month premium if I want insurance. Do you think I can afford that, Mr. President? That's more than my car payment. That would be like if I had another car. $300 a month or more premium for your supposed affordable insurance. And if I get this insurance, it's going to be for a plan that has like a $2,000 to $5,000 deductible, which means I won't really get to have any coverage until I meet this deductible, in addition to paying my $300 a month. Is that going to help me? Is that going to help me if I get in an accident or if I get sick? That'll help me if I have a catastrophic injury or illness. But if I have, say, trigger finger in my little finger, and because of that my hand is starting to atrophy on one side, and it's my right hand, Mr. President, then I can't go to the doctor, I can't get it seen. It requires surgery. But I can't exactly afford surgery without insurance, and I can't afford insurance. And you know what? Because I can't afford insurance, at the end of the year you're going to get money from me in a different way. You're going to penalize me for being poor. Something is a little bit wrong with this picture, don't you think, Mr. President? It just seems to me that the illegal alien problem should be one of the lower concerns that you have in the last 2 years of your term. Healthcare for everybody should be a major concern, because I'm sorry, but not everybody gets to have healthcare. Your system that you've come up with isn't working. And offshoring jobs continues, and there is no more middle-class jobs out there. So highly educated people, I complain about not being able to get a job. Highly educated people who have invested money and are up to their ears in debt from going to school, come out, and instead of getting a nice high-paying job to help them pay off that debt, they get stuck in some job flipping pizzas and getting $10 an hour because there's not enough jobs. And you say this recession is over? Good times are here again? Look around. That is the furthest thing from the truth. And I just think instead of paying so much attention to problems overseas and problems with illegal aliens, maybe you should look around at the problems that are affecting people that are citizens of this country, who are starving, who have gone to school to try to better themselves and are still living barely surviving on minimum wage. I think you need to take a look at what's going on in your own country. I voted for you twice because I believed in you, and I believed that all that stuff that you said during your campaign, I believed in that. And I have not really seen that happening. Alternative power, not seeing it. More jobs, I'm not seeing it. Not for the middle class. Do you think digging ditches is a job? Do you think delivering pizzas is a job? I'm only 52. I lost my job because a bigger company bought out my company. And they wanted to clean house, and they got rid of everybody who was older. And now there's a whole lot of older people with a lot of experience out there trying to find jobs, competing with younger people. And it's really hard to find a job. There's a huge problem with people like us in that situation becoming homeless because there's no help. There's no jobs. So we lose our homes and we become homeless, and then we have some states saying, ooh, don't feed the homeless. It would be nice if our president gave a damn. No disrespect intended. It would be nice if you cared and you sat up and took notice about a little bit more than just this illegal alien problem in this country. And that's all I wanted to say. I just felt like, I've written letters to you before, and I know you don't read them. I know that nobody really reads those letters. But our country is broken. And the more time goes by with nobody giving a damn, the more broken it's gonna get. Thank you for your attention if you have watched, which I'm realistic, I know you won't.